Hello everyone and welcome back to another monster analysis. So, I'm going to be doing a video on Baltisar. Baltisar is a pretty cool monster and I think he's one of the strongest monsters in the dark category. Other him and Barbatos are, so let's get right into the video. Baltisar was abandoned as a baby. He grew up alone in the underworld surrounded by criminals. There, he quickly became familiar with the art of the blade. It wasn't long before he learned that in his community there were only two options, kill or be killed. He chose the former. So this is a pretty kind of sad description for a monster. He was abandoned as a baby in the underworld, so that is kind of sad. It's like the second saddest description of monsters in the game, second only to Taiga. So yeah, pretty sad description. But he is definitely a good monster. A good monster definitely came out of it. Also, disclaimer before the video starts, the wiki is going really slow. Like, really slow, and it's freezing a lot. So I might not be able to actually make this video smoothly. I might have to pause for a little bit for stuff to happen. So, that's just a quick disclaimer. It's probably not going to be very fast loading the wiki, so... well, hashtag blame wiki. So, now we're going to move on to his stats. His power is 3,575. I actually think I heard this is the strongest powerful dark monsters. At least at one time it was. So, I'm not sure if it's been topped or not. But I'm just going to go by the assumption that it's the strongest. And it's a very high power even if it's not. It's like a really strong power. 3,500 is good enough. And this is almost 3,600. Which is really good. His life is 25,635. This isn't as fantastic as his power, but it's still pretty good life. His speed is 3,432. I don't think this is a bad speed. This is a pretty good speed for an attacker. So let's go down to his gold. He sadly, despite how good this monster is, only makes 155 gold per minute. So if you want to calculate what he'll be after he hatches, that'll be... I mean, you can't get into level 50. That'll be 10 gold plus 5 every level. And his trait is immunity to possession. Grants immunity to any kind of possession. This is good in the dark category. And you do not want him to hit his own team at all. It is bad. I'm not sure if the glitch where Hackster and Glitch were able to actually confuse immunity to possession. They were actually able to possess. So if they can't possess him, that's kind of good for people when you... I don't know. That's good if you're fighting him, bad if you're using Baltisar and fighting those monsters. So, but at least he's immune to most types of possession, and you do not want to have this strong monster possessed. So, let's get right into his skills. His special attack is, if I can get it to load, Vendetta Varenta. Deals massive dark damage to all enemies, may make all targets bleed, may apply stamina leak to them. So this is a pretty good special, 70 damage AoE that applies bleeding and stamina leak. Always really good. Also, I'm sorry if I pronounced the names wrong, because another monster with really weird names for attacks. So, Asalio Arresto deals moderate special damage, 50% chance of stunning the target. So it's a 35 damage special based attack with a 50% chance of stunning the target. This is an okay skills group 1 skill. Now we have Terrificant. Deals low dark damage to all enemies, 50% chance of giving 50% chance of giving nightmares to all targets. This is okay, but not even as close to being good as Noctim. I'm still... yes, even in a non-Noctim video, I'm still talking about how good his skills group 1 skill was. But yeah. This is nothing compared to that, but he has a higher power, so this is good. Imperto 40, pretty good for skills group 1. If you're in that section of the game, this is good already. Now, Agato Akinti deals moderate dark damage, 50% chance of blinding target and making it bleed. So, it does normal damage to a target, 40 damage, same as the last skill, but there's a 50% chance of blinding and making the target bleed. Now, what I thought when I first saw this skill was that there's a 50% chance of blinding and 100% chance of making it bleed. It's only 50% chance for both, so you're never going to run the skill. So, Sanguza Aggression deals low dark damage to all enemies, may make all targets bleed, 50% chance of giving nightmares to all targets. This is definitely a skill you want. A 35 damage AoE that's 100% chance of giving nightmares, and a 50% or 100% chance of making targets bleed, and 50% chance of giving nightmares to targets. This is really good. Only like a few monsters in the game have the abomination trait and are immune to it, and to the best of my knowledge, one epic can give immunity to bleeding, at least currently, so there might be monsters in the future that can block it, but I'm okay with this skill. I really like it. A good damage output, 35 on a monster with this power is really good. Bleeding's a really good status effect to apply, and nightmares, it's not the greatest, but it's only 50% chance, and if you get that bonus, it's kind of good, because that minus 10% stamina, and that'll make it, if you land both skills, that's the same thing as burning right there, and their power's reduced by 20%, and their stamina's reduced by 10% on the first turn, so this could be good. Now, Attacco Norinto. Okay, this is taking forever to load. Okay, moderate special damage may give nightmares to target. Not a skill you want to consider. Now, Siesto Toleo. Deals very heavy dark damage, may blind target. This is a skill you might want to keep. 65 damage is pretty good, and blind is definitely a really good stats move. Sigo Mortale. Deals moderate dark damage to all enemies, may give nightmares to all targets, 50% chance of making all targets bleed. This is a terrible skill if it does what it says. So let me go check this skill. If this is a 35 damage attack and not a 45 damage attack, if this was 45 damage, you're running this skill. Nightmares, 100% chance, 50% chance of making targets bleed. It's basically the reverse of the other skill. So if this actually did 45 damage, it would be good, but so far, 35 damage, that's the same as the other skill, except the worst skill is the one that's always going to hit, so why would you ever run that skill? You might want to run it if it's 2 combo, so either these skills are swapped, and this skill is the one with 100% chance of bleeding, or this one does more damage, or this one's just a completely dumb skill that I would never run. I'm going by the wiki on this one, but still, that's kind of dumb if they're both the same damage, and this one's just so much worse. 2 more cooldown, and the better status effect has 50% chance. Definitely not a skill you want to run, in my opinion, unless you want to run both of them. If you're gonna run both of them, good skill, but if you're not gonna run both of them, and you're only gonna run one, do the one in skills group 2. So now we're gonna do Fury di Assassino, which, if it loads, I'll be happy, because deals heavy special damage, may make target bleed. So this isn't as good as the other skill. You might want to run this skill. Just in case you might want the other skill. I know you want. Okay, never mind. But still, you might want to run this skill. 50 damage, special based attack might be a skill you want to run. Especially with this monster's high power, you're going to do the same damage to any monster, which is always really good. So now, I'm going to look at his skills. You do not want this skill. You do not want this skill. So now, actually, I already decided what I want. Actually, kind of. First 3 moves is Fura di Assassino, Siesto Totali, and Sagrino Aggressiono. All really good skills. Now, there are a couple options of what you want for your last skill. Now that I think about it, you could run both the AoEs to have that extra coverage, or you might want to actually run this skill. 50% chance of blinding, that's an extra blind skill. You might actually want to run an extra blind skill. Or maybe you just want to run an extra nightmare skill because it's 45 damage, no cooldown. This is only 5 less damage than Furia di Assassino. This is only 5 less damage with a 0 turn cooldown. So you might actually want to run it, and I might actually run this skill. I don't want to run 2 AoEs because one of them is really bad. But yeah, you can actually have a skill that has no cooldown and only 5 less damage. It does have a worse status move, but I definitely think it's worth running this skill. You're either going to run this skill or his AoE, or his weak AoE. So, I think he's a pretty good attacker. I like his his how he looks. I like his attacks. He's not the greatest, but his power makes up for that a bit. I think he's a pretty good monster. He's really powerful. I like this monster. I'm gonna say he's at least general tier. So that's the video. Now let's look at his how he looks through all of his forms. So there is an egg, child, juvenile, and an adult. So I really like this monster. I rate him pretty high, and I hope you enjoyed, and bye!